Hey, it's prime. We're 3 balls in, then we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time's route. Mighty gets the scoring. Oh, and PJ start to scout. Your Ron's really trash. What do you think he's damn fouls? TBI the show, so buckle down, sit back. And Jay we trust, cause he's the leader of the pack. It's prime, Jupo.
This is TBI 3 balls in alongside Logan and Davo. This is PJs. We're back at it again. Guess what, everybody? League week number 1 finally happened. It's in the books. We got a lot to talk about there. Of course, we got to figure out who is the top team right now of the 1-win teams. Obviously, the 0-win teams are not going to be in that conversation. And then finally, we have to talk about who is right now the most feared lineman. Well, let's start off, boys. How we doing? How we feeling?
Are ready.
All right. Davo's was ready. He's always ready.
I'm ready. I feel good.
All right, let's jump right into it. League week number 1 in the books. We'll start with the game that neither one of us watched, played, or was even a part of. We'll talk about the Dogs versus the Cronies. An early matchup that looked like it was going to be neck and neck, right? Where all 3 of us were trying to get our updates.
It was 1-1 for the longest time. It was 6-6.
Right.
But it was, it was 6-6 for the longest time. So,
Davo, this is going to be a common theme this season, but who was the difference maker in this game?
I mean, we spoke about it last week. We all knew what it was going to come down to. And it came down to Mighty, and Mighty does mighty things. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, one of them being a pick 6. He accounted for 3 touchdowns himself.
quite frankly, it's his 3rd week in a row where he accounted for 3 touchdowns.
Unbelievable statistics right now. And by the way, on the other side, the Cronies, Gronk had, honestly, a very great defensive game. 2 picks himself, all over the place in the field. Just, listen, Cronies were missing some of their core guys, right? Some of their 5th round and past draft picks. So basically, you're now down so many of your core players. You still has Storm. You still has Zada. You still have Gronk. You still had a lot of the,
so there's Open there,
Open and Dax,
right?
Daxy, whatever you want to call him, Junior. But that just wasn't enough to contend with. And there was one player on the dog side, besides for Mighty, who I think had a unbelievable defensive game, and that would obviously be our guest from last week, Legs, who accounted for 7 sacks. I didn't see that happening. Unbelievable. Against the line.
Didn't see it either.
Well, clearly. And by the way, that's the thing. Gronk is one of the most elusive quarterbacks to a rush. I've had a great offensive line in front of him.
I think it's both there. I totally agree. It's not only is he elusive, but he was also playing behind 2 premier, if not the best linemen in the game, but 2 premier linemen of Open and Daxy.
Definitely. And Davo, what was the question we had about Swirly, Dax, all off season and into the draft? What was the one question we had about him?
Is he really brothers with Dax?
No, we had a different question. What was that?
He's brother with Daxy, but I don't know about Dax.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah, no, that's true.
But the real question we had was what?
Can he play without all of his main guys? Well, clearly he did, because he has Mighty, and Mighty's the best.
But the question was, could he play without Zin and his brother Dax? Like, that was the question mark, right? Not that we were saying last year he won because of them. We're just saying that team was stacked unbelievably, right? Obviously, you've been saying this all season long, right? The most fugazi thing was Dax in the 3rd round. But honestly, I think he kind of answered that question in saying, give me any talent you want to give me. Mighty dropped to number 6. And I'm going to say it. Mighty dropped to number 6. You give Dax anybody, he'll make them look pure gold, no?
No, he played a great game. And quite frankly, early on, it was tough. It was cold. It was windy.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that it started off low scoring. But look, Dogs are the Dogs top the Cronies in that game. I do think, though, that the Cronies will have a chance to rebound. I think Gronk is still getting his feet under him from a quarterback perspective.
This is only his 2nd or 3rd game of the season.
Right, yeah.
So
again, like, the defense is there. He reads the field well. That comes naturally to him. And I think playing quarterback, especially with that crew, especially for a quarterback like Gronk, who doesn't really call plays, right? Like Perla as an example, has his set plays, right? He knows where each wide receiver is going. Gronk plays a little bit more schoolyard. We know this, same play. So for him, he's going to take a little bit more time to get more comfortable with his players, with his receivers, the way that his line blocks, so on and so forth. But still, big win for the Dogs.
let's transition, since you mentioned Perla. let's talk about the Purple Cobras versus the Lionhearts. Davo,
Do we have to?
I think we should talk about it, right?
Yeah, of course.
The guy you love to trash the most actually played pretty darn well, no?
I listen. You can trash him, but doesn't mean he's not a good player. Still, we know Yaron is a high scoring touchdown throwing machine who cut down on his turnovers over the last couple of years. That being said, I think it's hard to take this game at face value. You're talking about a team that had right now 5 linemen. So you're talking about not only do you have 2 linemen at your middle linebacker position, you also ended up having one on the outside. So at full strength, I think the Lionhearts would have been a tough matchup for the Cobras just because they have a lot of speed guys.
Definitely.
But you're talking about just all in all, in total, the way the game played out. Now that's not to take away from the Lionhearts. I think Jerome played a great game. I think his receivers played a great game.
I mean, I'm going to cut you off right there. Guys, Fox, I mean, I didn't see that coming. 3 touchdowns in his first league game. I mean, have we seen a lot of him so far this year in Jubal? Not so much, but he comes out there.
Plays.
I mean, and Yaron connects to him really quickly. That's a scary, scary, scary connection. If they can continue and build off of that performance. 3 TDs in his first game with Yaron in leagues. I did not see that coming.
Look, I mean, Yaron has there's no other way to say it. Like if Prey wasn't in the league, Yaron would be the best quarterback, and we'd be singing it. Well, the 2 of us would be singing his praises. So like, he's having a great year, and this is not to take away. What
would he be?
Yeah, he would be. But we're not taking away from anything that the Pro Cobras tried to do with the team that they had.
Right.
But Yaron played a great game, right? Like and like you said, Fox played great. Like big team win. I think the Lionhearts made a big statement, and I think any team that's going to come in there and going to underestimate either of those 2 teams, the Cobras or the Lionhearts, I think will be in for a long Sunday.
I also think that the line of Beast and Burt showed us a lot in that game also, because that was a line we kind of, we're not putting anybody on my same line we thought would be on the echelon of a Munch and Solo, right? But I think that this was a line that we thought maybe could gel together, but would take some time. They did a nice job of protecting their own that game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Did he take how many sacks did he end up? Was it 1?
1 or 2 at most. I mean, there wasn't much there. Yeah.
Right. So like, and again, we had mentioned this last week, right? The Yaron gets rid of the ball quickly, but I think the low number of sacks that the Cobras were able to compile, yes, it has something to do with Yaron getting rid of the ball quickly, but I think it speaks more to how consistent and how strong that line is of Beast and Burt.
Yeah, I mean, just and then listen, obviously, Purple Cobra is missing Goldberg.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
you can't
right
replace,
there.
that's top round talent, right? You can't replace that with just anybody.
Unlike Croc versus the Bop, obviously those 2 teams were at full strength. Obviously, not taking anything away from the Dogs or the Lionhearts, but I like to see those teams at full strength, what they would do. And obviously, we can't go back in time. We don't have a crystal ball to do anything magical. The reality is those games were played, and the winners are the winners. So let's transition to our next topic. Of our 1-win teams, Bop, Dogs, and Lionhearts, who would you rank as the top team right now? Whether you want to use a statistical formula, or you want to go based on observations, you want to go based on feedback, anything you want. Who would you say right now is the top team? Dave, I think I know your choice.
Well, clearly, I'm going to say the Lionhearts, right?
I'm very proud of you. Look at you.
Growth. It's called growth.
I thought he was growing. Nope.
No, the only thing that's growing is my love for Bop.
And by the way, great time to transition to Mazel Tov Prey on Baby Bop.
So, like I said, Bop, I love you guys. I think Bop is very, very complete, wholesome team.
Wholesome.
We've talked about this before.
This is a TV show.
I know.
Listen, I don't know. You do a lot.
I mean, I would describe Prey as wholesome. I wouldn't describe the entire team. Although is also wholesome.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I mean, we got some good guys. I think, but again, it's week 1. We're not taking anything for
take everything at face value, right? It's one game.
Yeah. We got week 2 coming up, maybe, possibly sometime soon. We never know. Anything can happen. Look, Aaron Rodgers can make it back. Anything's possible. But yeah, Pop number one in my heart at least.
Logan?
Yeah, so
most objective of the three of us up here.
Most objective. So, I hear you. I think at the beginning of the season, after draft night when we were analyzing the teams, I think we said that Bob's biggest weakness is availability. Right? You've got a bunch of guys who are either injury prone or don't live in New York. And at least I shouldn't say a bunch of guys, but your significant impact players fall into those categories. So until you can kind of see that they're going to be healthy, 1 week is not enough to kind of make that statement for me. I think that when you then look at so again, it's not a knock on Bob, but they also played a team that didn't really have the chemistry, right? You had a lot of players who kind of didn't really gel because they haven't had that time yet. I think the biggest statement of the week, even though Lionheart played so well, they played a team that, again, the matchup wasn't great, right? A lot of linemen, a lot of speed guys, a guy who throws the ball really quickly to get the ball out. It wasn't going to be a great matchup, Cobras versus Lionhearts. I think the Dogs made a huge statement on Sunday. It's a big win. And even if, I know that the Cronies had a handful of injuries or a handful of subs playing for them, but there's a formidable team on defense, regardless of who is back there. Gronk's still Gronk. They have a lot of really, really great players. So I think the Dogs being able to walk away with that victory, coupled with the fact that Mighty might be playing his best football of his career, I think you got to say that the Dogs made the biggest statement on week one.
I can't agree with you more. Seriously. I mean, 100%. The Dogs right now, to me, are the top team. First, you have the championship winning quarterback. And Dax, by the way, is still, since the first league week game last year, Dax has yet to lose a league game. So that's something to think about.
Since
week one of last year, he's yet to lose a league game. That says a lot about him. The fact that he gelled so quickly with his team, the fact that he orchestrated a really good draft. Ross was a guy, I think we were kind of wondering a lot about him. We weren't sure what he'd be. He showed us that in that game that he's a receiver to worry about as well. I'm very impressed with what Dax did. He showed me a lot. I got to say right now, Dogs are the top team. I would then go, if I'm listing it, I would say Bop is next because they did put up a big score in that game against the Crocs.
Listen, all I hear is that the Dogs have a championship quarterback. So does Bob. The Dogs have great players. So does Bob.
So let me say it a little bit differently.
The Dogs played a team that wasn't gelled yet. Apparently, so did Bob. So I mean, the way you guys are saying it, it's everything that you all said could be said about Bob as well.
All right. So let me say it differently then. I am not saying that tomorrow, if Dogs played Bob, that I think Dogs would win. What I'm saying is that Dogs answered a lot of questions that we had about them going into the season, whereas Bob has not. Bob still hasn't proven that they could win without 2 or 3 of those top players who may not be available down the stretch. So that's something that wasn't proven to us, whereas the Dogs proved to us and answered some questions, right? When we talked about the analysis, we said, could Sruli play without Morty, right? Could he put together another team that was going to be as successful? So as far as who is the best one team win right now, who made the biggest statement on Sunday, for me, it's still the Dogs, not because I think that they're necessarily better than Bob, but because Bob still has those same questions. And I think Dogs have fewer questions now.
Well, we'll find out week 2.
And I'm gonna throw out another one here. I don't think anybody has a lineman right now playing like legs. 7 sacks in that game, going up against Open and Daxi. So I think right now, when you look at that situation of who's going to block legs in Jubal, that's a problem. That is a big problem. We had him on last week. Not only did I think we kind of motivated him a little bit more because he went out there and I think that might have been a career game for him, 7 sacks. So unbelievable performance. You have put that with Sruli and with Mighty. I don't know, guys. That's a connection right now that I'd be a little afraid of. And that brings us to our next topic, which is legs the most feared lineman in all the Jubal? Logan, we'll start with you.
I think feared is an interesting term or interesting phrase to use, right? Feared, we know that he loves to kill things.
Oh, yeah.
So from purely fearing that aspect of it, like fearing injury, I think there's almost no doubt that he might be, forget about linemen, he just might be the most feared guy in all of Jubal. As far as what he's doing on the field, he's playing out of his mind. He's not only doing things on the defensive side of the ball, which we've seen in years past, but he's doing things on the offensive side of the ball. He's making himself a target for his quarterbacks, which, again, enabling him to then put up stats or put up, helping his team win on offense. However, I do think that there are some, when it comes to offensive blocking, there are players who play offensive line better than he does. And then when it comes to defensive line, there are guys like Solo who get more attention and therefore have a harder time to put up stats. So if you're asking me if I had a choice to pick any lineman for my team tomorrow, start a team, you get to pick a lineman, who you picking? It's probably not going to be Legs. However, what I will say is wherever he does end up getting picked in that order, that team got a steal.
Devo, most of your linemen in Jubal?
Well, it's hard to say after what Logan just said. Like, he just laid out the whole meal. Exactly. I will agree with Logan. Feared in the sense that I might die, maybe, probably. I'm still more fearful of pulling Solo coming at you at full speed. I think I would crap my pants if that full on collision. But no, he's playing great. Like Logan said, I wouldn't take him number one, but I would put him in that top pyramid, the top of the pyramid. Maybe not the tippity top, but the top level.
I mean, 7 sacks against Open, and you guys are talking to me about you're only fearing him killing you? I mean, guys, this is there has not been a single player against Open since Open's come to Jubal who's gotten this many sacks against him. You talk about a line of Open and Daxi giving up 7 sacks to Legs. That right there just tells you how awesome Legs is.
Maybe we can start calling him Saxy instead of Daxi.
Well, at this point, who knows? But you surrender that many sacks to a lineman like Legs, that's starting to take notice, by the way. Take a lot of notice. And the reality is right now, when you look at the other players playing this week, they didn't have as many sacks. Solo didn't have that many sacks, although he was playing all over the field. You're talking about Open didn't really have many sacks, maybe one in that game, if any. So you're talking about some of the top linemen who went ahead of Legs. He's outperforming them. I think you're talking about a guy like Beast, who also has had a couple of really good games already. So to me, I'm taking Legs right now, number one, just based on league week number one, just based on what I've seen so far this year. And the offensive performances he's doing as well, Legs. You talk about, again, we said it before, Legs, Mighty, Dax. I'm saying right now, Legs might be the most feared Juballer right now in Jubal football. That's my thoughts. All right, boys. We got a regular week this week, right? Anything happening?
Got a lot happening.
Yeah, tell us, Devo.
We have week 8.
Oh, yeah.
We have Shalom Zachar.
Tomorrow night at Praise Home.
We have Jubal Hanukkah.
Boys, if you haven't signed up for the Jubal Hanukkah party, do yourselves a favor. Get it done. Show up. It's a great night. Jordan's putting in a lot of effort, but forget about that. It's an awesome night. I don't know. I've been to 2. Both have been phenomenal.
There's no reason not to be there,
yeah.
Obviously. Come, show up, be there, have fun, hang out with your boys.
I don't know. I heard it's the same night as the Hatzalah Hanukkah party, so maybe people have conflicts.
So you're saying Bert won't be there? Hashtag Team Tom. David, what are we?
We are signing up for week 8 if you haven't. We are signing up for Jubal Hanukkah if you haven't. Guys, Secret Santa, bring the best gifts you can. We have Tier Talk dropping Friday. Beware. And don't forget, what are we?
We're 3 balls in.
And now we're 3
balls
out.
Have a great week, everybody. Can you just wrap this up already?
Davo, at least we have bloopers.
Yeah, seriously. I was going to put my Russian stuff in. I don't have to.
Oh, yeah, you got tramp. I was trying to listen, but whatever.
Из Нью-Йорка. Мэтью, здравствуйте. Спасибо, что нашли для нас время.
It's my pleasure.
Да, рад быть с вами.
У вас, как у преподавателя, какие эмоции вызывает происходящее и почему антисемитские вспышки в школах участились в последние недели?
So obviously it's a very tense time right now in
Очень
our world.
сложное время.
Last year, I think Logan killed it with the best one.
Sure.
There were a lot of good ones.
Definitely top one.
Yeah. It was like legs level.
Well, there was also the Purple Cobra gift too.
Yeah, that was
pretty awesome.
We have Sham Zachar. Guys, try to make it. If you haven't sent money to Oren, please do so. If it's not too late by the time this episode actually finally airs. We have. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. Guys, we need more subscribers because we want to think we're cool.
All right, this week I make my debut, my official debut of the season. Logan's already made his debut. Davo's been playing more than.
You did play a half game.
That's not my debut. That's more.
You were there.
An assist for the winning.
Well,
touchdown.
you weren't there at. That's true. You weren't there at the start of the game. So yeah, you're going to play a full game this week.
First official game of the season.
Your first start.
Right. My first start. Give me a break. Anyways, boys.
And then we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time sprout.